Part 4 of how to be a runner for the OTF Transformation Challenge. In this section, the final section, we're going to make sure that you're supporting your training efforts with adequate recovery strategies. 5 areas: fuel, sleep, mindfulness, soft tissue, and active recovery. I'm a big believer in keeping it simple, and I'm going to do my best to do that for you and also get you to do a little research on some of the topics that we will cover. Fuel is the first one. In this category, I want you to just think about putting liquid and foods in your body post-workout that are good for your body, that are productive. This is a window, typically within an hour, where I'd highly recommend getting water or some kind of very, very little to no sugar sports drink. And there are sports drink offerings out there that unfortunately do have a lot of sugar. Look at the label, inform yourself. You may be surprised at what some of these healthy sports drinks have in them. When it comes to food, find single ingredient foods that are easy to digest carbs. These typically are going to be coined as simple carbohydrates rather than complex carbohydrates. Fruits and or a smoothie is probably a great place to start. And then the other thing that I would argue that a majority of the population needs, and this just goes to supporting you overall, but eat your veggies. That is not just a soundbite when it comes to a wide variety of different processes in your body. And if we talk about the standard American diet, we need more vegetables. They are central to so many processes associated with our health, and a majority of us are nowhere near the recommended servings. Then when it comes to sleep, yes, we know sleep is important, and obviously sleeping a little bit more than we normally do can be a huge difference maker, but also focus on sleep quality. A lot of people don't know this, but sleep hygiene and the things that you are doing before bed can actually lead to a better sleep quality. So we could have different 7-hour sleeps depending on what we do prior to bed. Look up sleep hygiene and make sure you're informing yourself on what that is, and maybe try to do one thing a little bit differently prior to bed. When it comes to mindfulness, just remember you cannot be on workout mode 24/7. When you're in workout, you're actually in this excited state or state in which your body is elevated, right? We need that to go all out. But you need to bring yourself back down to baseline during those off time periods, or your body is functioning like it's working out all the time. If I can't get to this rest and digest state, or the parasympathetic nervous system that I'm trying to tap into, it's going to be hard for my body to feel refreshed and recharged because I'm continually depleting my body because I'm continually on. Make time for mindfulness, make time for a little bit quieter periods of the day. People have been getting into things such as breath work, meditation, whatever works for you. Somebody like me who's always busy, I find it either a quiet car ride sometimes or potentially making time to roll, stretch before bed. But you will find a routine that works well for you. I've just brought it up, but soft tissue work. It's great to stretch. I would argue it's also equally, if not more beneficial, to make time to become friends with a roller or a lacrosse ball. Instead of paying for that $100 massage every single week, which I know is incredibly unrealistic, get a foam roller, get a tennis ball or lacrosse ball. Find a way to work on your tissues and work on the areas that are talking to you. This is part of a well-rounded strategy for you to take care of your tissue. Dare I use a buzzword from Tom Brady, where you're potentially focusing on pliability of your tissues, but regardless, you are providing a positive stimulus on a regular basis to ideally help those muscle tissues feel better going into your next workout. And then when it comes to really the true sweet spot, it's active recovery. If you want to learn about heart rate zones a little bit more beyond what's been communicated in OrangeTheory, and maybe some of you have been familiar with this already, Zone 2 is a sweet spot with regards to active recovery. Usually it's doing movement and still being able to breathe through your nose and or be able to talk at a regular level. If you're more out of breath and you can't just go into nasal breathing for a little while, you're usually in 3 to 5. And that's an oversimplified way of doing it. If you wanted to look at Carvanen's formula, where you're taking 220 minus your age, finding your max heart rate, then potentially finding that maybe it's 65 to 75% or 60 to 70% with regards to where, we kind of say that zone 2 is, but you would be doing that on your off days. No, it's not a hard workout. No, it's not an all-out workout. No, it's not emptying your tank. It's actually a workout where you should feel generally more recharged after. You should feel better finishing that workout than you did potentially walking into it. Sometimes this consists of basic calisthenics, right? Jog, shuffle, skip, move around a little bit, go through some dynamic stretches, maybe a world's greatest stretch, a Frankenstein, a single leg deadlift, a quad stretch, maybe some lunges, some calf raises, taking tissues through movement, moving your body, elevating your heart rate a little bit, but not to a point where you're in zone 3 or getting out of breath. And then potentially finishing it with some static stretching. But those active recovery days are potentially a great way, and I know I said potentially a million times because I want you to reach your potential, but they're a great way for you to get back to your resting baseline so that you can go hard the next day. And that's what this is all about at the end of the day. To become a better runner, you're trying to regulate a little bit. Some days you have high days where you're focusing on intensity, and some days you have lower days where you're focusing on technique. But this recovery section allows you to be at your best regardless of what the intent is for a given day. If you have any questions on anything I covered in section 4 here, feel free to leave comments in the section below.